There's a lot of stories in the Naked City. Yep, about 8 million of them. These are the stories of Mason Deletti, private investigator. Not just solving everyday crimes and mysteries, but also bringing back truth, justice, and the American way. The fog rolled in, as thick as a wool blanket, the night Mrs. Sugar Sweeterson knocked on my office door. My name is Mason Deletti, and in 1937 that meant something on the hard-boiled streets of Naked City, Florida. I'd seen the city's dirtiest secrets, but the look in Mrs. Sweeterson's wide, scared eyes told me I was about to brush up against another. She perched at the edge of my visitor's chair, clutching her purse in her white-knuckled hands. Her lips were trembling. Even the pearls at her throat quivered.
Mr. Deletti, I'm afraid for my life,
she told me, voice barely above a gentle hum of my office fan.
I think my husband is trying to kill me.
Surely you don't think he's going to murder you?
My name isn't Shirley, it's Sugar.
I leaned forward, letting my elbows rest on the battered desk. Take your time, Mrs. Sweeterson. Start from the beginning. She swallowed. Her eyes were darting towards the window where the neon lights flickered and painted jittery shadows on the walls.
It started last month. Cecil, my husband, he's been strange. He's become cold and secretive. I found receipts for things we never bought. Rat poison, a length of rope. And at night, I catch him watching me, thinking I'm asleep.
I kept my face unreadable, but the wheels were already turning in my head. Any enemies, Mrs. Sweeterson? Anyone who'd want to hurt you? She shook her head.
None, at least not that I know of. I'm not a fool, Mr. Deletti. I know the difference between a quarrel and this.
I nodded. Where can I find your husband?
He's usually at the club in the evenings, the Silver Parrot on 3rd and Vine. Please, Mr. Deletti, I just want to know the truth. If I'm imagining things, I want to know that too.
I'm going to need a retainer.
How much?
Well, let me see, 140 donuts.
Where can I find a bakery to buy that many donuts?
Not real donuts. 140 beans, clams, dollars, honey. After she signed the check, I promised her I'd look into it. I saw her out and watched her shadow merge with the city mist. Then I poured myself a stiff drink, and I started thinking. The Silver Parrot was the kind of joint where fortunes and marriages went to die. Cigarette girls and gamblers, laughter loud and brittle as broken glass. I found Cecil Sweeterson in a corner booth, sipping bourbon with a couple of big shots from the stock exchange. He was a handsome man, tailored suit, slicked back hair, a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. I nursed a seltzer at the bar, watching. After about an hour, his companions left, and I slid into the booth next to him. "Sweeterson," I said, trying to sound like I'd just blown in from Miami. "You got a minute?" He looked me up and down. He was kind of wary.
Who's asking?
"Mason Deletti. I'm a private investigator." He stiffened up and then grinned jokingly.
My wife sent you, didn't she? Sugar's always been the nervous type.
"Funny. She seemed pretty sure you were out to get her." His smile faded.
And you believed her?
"I believe a lot of things. Tell me about that rat poison and the rope, Cecil." He blinked, then he laughed.
Huh, that. I got rats in the garage. The ropes for the garden swing. Sugar's seeing ghosts.
Well, maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe he wasn't. I'd need more than a smirk on his face and a story to sort it out. That night I watched the Sweetersons' house from my car across the street. cigar glowing in the dark. Around midnight, Cecil slipped out the back door, looking over his shoulder. I tailed him through the twisting lanes until he reached a small house in Echo Park. He let himself in with a key. I waited. Maybe 20 minutes later, a young woman stepped out onto the porch. Cecil kissed her, soft and lingering. Not murder, I thought. Adultery. But that didn't mean Sugar wasn't in danger. The next day I paid a visit to Benny the Snipe, Levine, an informant with ears everywhere. Over a soggy sandwich and a greasy spoon, Benny told me all about Cecil's gambling debts and the men he owed. Real wolves with gold teeth and brass knuckles. So Cecil's in pretty deep, I asked.
He's drowning, Mason. But that missus of his, she's the golden goose. Her father left her a fortune, and Cecil's due to inherit it if anything happens to her.
Now the pieces were falling together. I thanked Benny, I slipped him a 10, and made straight for the Sweetersons' place. Sugar answered the door, pale and anxious. I asked her if she'd had any strange visitors or eaten anything unusual. She shook her head, but her hand hovered over her throat, fiddling with a locket. "May I see that?" I asked gently. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a tiny scrap of paper. "Trust no one, change nothing." I frowned. "Who gave you this?" She shook her head.
It arrived in the mail, with no return address.
Cecil came home early that night. I studied him as he entered. His smile was tight. He poured himself a stiff drink. Then the doorbell rang. A man in a cheap suit pushed his way in.
"Cecil Sweeterson?"
He barked. Cecil's face went pale.
Who's asking?
"I'm from Vinnie's Bank. Your loan is past due. No more extensions. Pay up, or we'll have to take what you owe us in other ways."
Sugar's eyes widened. Cecil stammered.
I'll get it. Just take a few more days.
The banker sneered and he left. Cecil wiped sweat from his brow. His hands were shaking.
Cecil, what's going on?
Sugar demanded. He rounded on her. His voice was shaking.
We're in trouble, Sugar. I tried to fix it, but I made some bad debts.
She stepped back. She was frightened. I knew if I was going to tail this guy from a distance, I would need a pair of binoculars. So as always, I went to Eagle's Nest Treasures. Sure enough, they had just what I was after at an unbeatable price. I can always count on Eagle's Nest Treasures. That night I kept watch from my car again. Around 2, Cecil left the house, driving fast. I followed him to the Echo Park house. I saw him hand over a wad of cash to a big guy in the shadows. The voices rose. The big guy shoved Cecil, who staggered back, his hands raised. After a tense minute, Cecil went back to his car and sped off. Next morning, I visited a local pharmacist. Flashing a badge and a smile, I asked, "Did Cecil Sweeterson buy rat poison here?" He checked his ledger.
He sure did. Signed for it last week.
"Did anyone else buy it recently?" The pharmacist shrugged.
Yep, his wife Sugar just a few days later.
Interesting. Back at the Sweetersons, I confronted Sugar. "Why did you buy rat poison?" She looked down, twisting her ring.
I thought if Cecil was going to hurt me, I needed protection. I never intended to use it, just to feel safe.
I nodded, understanding the quiet terror that hung between them, but something still didn't fit. That afternoon I watched from across the street as the postman delivered a letter to the Sweetersons. Sugar rushed out to collect it. I waited for her to leave before slipping up to the mailbox. Tucked in the back was another envelope, addressed in the same careful hand as the locket note. I pocketed it and opened it in my office that night. Inside, a single sentence. You are in danger from yourself. I stared at the words. Sugar had been seeing things, hearing things, buying poison for comfort, convinced her husband wanted her dead. But the evidence was circumstantial. The fear was real but misplaced. Cecil's gambling woes and his affair were real, but murder was not on his menu. I gathered the Sweetersons in their parlor that evening. Rain pelted the windows. Thunder growled in the distance. Sugar, I began. You've lived your life in fear, but you're not the target. Cecil's desperate, yes. Debts, secrets, another woman, but he's not a killer. The poison, the rope, they're red herrings. Your own fears, stoked by anonymous letters, led you to believe the worst. Cecil dropped his head. Shame was written across his face.
Sugar, I'm sorry. I should have told you the truth.
She stared at him. Her tears were glimmering. The real villain here, I continued, is the man who sent the letters. Benny Levine's sources say Cecil's main creditor likes to scare his marks, drive them to do desperate things. He sent those notes, hoping hysteria would lead to a tragedy, an accident, a suicide, or even worse. His men watched you, Sugar, and they preyed on your fear. They sat together silently, but united by their ordeal. I left them to patch up what they could of their marriage. Back in my office, rain still falling, I poured myself a drink, and I watched the city lights flickered. Naked City, Florida, 1937, a maze of shadows and secrets, but tonight, at least, I'd brought in one frightened wife out of the dark. Tomorrow would bring another case, another mystery, but for now, Mason DeLetti could rest easy, even if trouble never seems to rest. This episode of Mason DeLetti is brought to you by Eagle's Nest Treasures, General Store and Service Shop. Skip Amazon and eBay and check out the Eagle's Nest.